Welcome. It is now Saturday, February the 16th for our prep number 8. And just a couple of things to mention for you. First and foremost, I'm sorry for any confusion for those of you that were there and not missing from your hub. I just didn't see the picture that was posted. And for those of you that are video debriefing this will be due in my inbox, 9 o'clock Sunday next week, be 1 week from tomorrow. Okay. So good to see everyone. We've got Jackson. Thanks for leading the hub over in Tallahassee. I want to thank Neil and Giovanni for just being present in each other's omnipotence. I want to say thank you to Amanda for coordinating the hub over there. I want to say David Delgado for coordinating the hub over here. David Vargas for coordinating the hub in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Eric, that was a strong bite. Whatever you just ate, you ate like it was your last meal. That was cool. Did you see that? Everyone see that? I like this style of. I like this better than hubs.
I haven't eaten in 16 hours.
It looks like it. That's awesome. Eric goes. You ever seen G.I. Jane where they're given a chance that they throw the trash can of food down, they start eating like animals? Oh, that's a hardworking man there. Also, just a couple of things to kind of think about before we dive into what you appreciate. This is the last prep. Like, period. This is the last prep. And so really what we've done is by the end of today at 3:30 or earlier, okay, we will have given you the basic fundamentals, at least the delivery of the information anyway. Retention is optional, I guess. We will have delivered enough for you as a first year to open up and operate the business. And actually, I'll start with 2 random thoughts to start. Number one, I had one of my top coaching calls with my mentor of the year so far. And we talked about, energy and time. Okay. And I have to be honest, the topic was you guys, and the topic was frustration. The topic was frustration because for as great as I love, and I think our division is, there's too many people. There are a lot of great things happening. And Luke and I were just saying the next level group here is better than it's ever been. There's a high percentage of performers. But for me, there are too many people in the bottom 20%. Right? 20, 60, 20. And food for thought. This is how I have operated for years now. You spend most of your time with the middle 60, and they say 10, 80, 10. I think it's 20, 60, 20 for me. You spend the majority of your time coaching and shepherding and trying to inspire and instruct and improve that middle 60%. And then you go to the top 20%. Anyone know why that order? Why not spend top 20% first? At least from what I've been coached on.
Because you want to do the hard stuff first.
Say it again.
You want to get the hard stuff out of the way.
Okay, Luke says you want to get the hard stuff. Perhaps. I think so. I think that's part of it. Any other guesses?
The bottom 20 needs the most help.
Well, in my scenario, it's the middle 60, then it's the top 20, and then last is the bottom 20. Any other thoughts? Additional thoughts on why 60% and then the 20% high?
20% would be on pace, easier to manage.
Yeah, the 20%. The 20% are self-achievers. Right, they're high achievers. The 20%, like many of you, several of you, I just need to do that, or like this way. You ever see the baby walking? They can walk, but they're about to walk onto the steps. You go, oh no. You see the dad go, oh, okay, and then you let them run through it. Like my nephew. I think that's the 20%, and the 60% we need to encourage. And I think my frustration with my coach was that bottom 20%, and it was almost me venting that, hey, we have all these talented people. But more than I'm really comfortable with, there are people who fall into that bottom 20%. In fact, you could argue right now, Florida United is 30, 50, 20. 30, 50, 20. And I get hung up on the 30. In fact, I want it to be 5%. I saw, those of you that went to GrowthCon, I saw a video of Grant looking out and saying, I see these empty seats and it hurts me. You guys there? Anyone there? See that? I see these empty seats and it hurts me because people need that. I see how many people are on my mental list of bottom 30, and it hurts me. And he said in the most somber voices, and no one here is going to be surprised when I say this, be blown away. You're not going to get a meal up, right? You're not going to get that on this one, okay? But he said, at the end of the day, it's up to people for themselves to be achievers. Like, success is on them ultimately. No matter how great of a coach, bad of a coach, no matter how much energy, at the end of the day, success is on them. Success is on us. So you can give and pour, and if they're not willing to give the energy, if there's no growth, if they're always late, if they're not paying attention, all that, then at some point you have to really let go. You really have to let go, because then you sacrifice that other 80%. Okay? So this is in two different ways, my forewarning. For those of you that know where you are on that list, some of you might not know, but for those of you that know and you're on the bottom part of that list, make moves, please. Like make moves. And at some point, you know this if you've worked the next level, you know this if you've definitely been run an office before. At some point, the ship will sail, and you will either be on the ship or not on the ship of where the summer's going to go. And there's no in between. Like the only in between is the guy that got caught and their foot got caught around the rope and they're dragging in the water. You don't want that to be that person either. Okay, that's the first thing. Second thing, I think it's really important not to neglect or underestimate the power of how much time we've gotten together and how much we've learned. But it's really interesting. Did anyone perhaps notice that this is the second time in a row we're covering AT1 and AT2? Yet a couple of you, your biggest excitement was to cover AT1. We covered it already. It's a review. So like I said, the information is going to be there, and we're all in different places at different times of what we're going to absorb. But I can just tell you, there's so many opportunities for you to be really successful for the summer of 2019. And some of you are on the fast track. Luke sent a message this morning. He said, Dave, I hope you have the air conditioning blasting because I'm on fire. Right? And many of you are on that track, and some of you are on the complete opposite. But I'm just, it really is to the point where I'm at the age also, my level of influence for all of you guys is really, I am dad now. I get that, and the feeling and how I come across. And sometimes you'll need Andrew or Luke to say something that I said word for word for you to do it. Like when Andrew says, or maybe even someone in between, like a district manager that's like an Andrew, I would say, or a Mike. And when they say it, it's like, oh, wow, that's. And I just want to encourage you to be the kid that's like an old soul that listens to dad right away. Right? Be the kid that's like an old soul that listens to dad from the beginning and doesn't need the other kids in the neighborhood to tell them that dad's right. That's just it. That's it. That's my 40-plus-year-old advice going into prep this morning. Okay. And then I have a second thought here I wanted to share. I'll go up here. And I shared this with the districts yesterday. Pretty some food for thought. Oh, here we go. Okay. So if you take a look here, I pulled up Glassdoor top paying jobs in America. And this doesn't include entrepreneurial, like if you're either, owning a business, right? Of that sorts. But it talks about the top like paying salary jobs, and physicians at the top. So I told the districts yesterday, right? When you see this, when you think of people that say, oh, my son or daughter, they're so successful. When you think of people who are successful, when you think of an occupation where you go, oh, they must be making money. Like I think physician is at the top, lawyer. But I think when someone says, oh, I'm a doctor, you have all these things that run into your head of how much money they make and how successful they are. And then, of course, you forget all the work that it's taken and the hundreds of thousands of dollars of med school. But that's just because I'm close to it. And, one of the things that John and I talked about was the concept of a surgeon. A surgeon is the highest, a procedure-based physician is the highest paid doctor. Because when you do procedures, you're billing. Like the insurance is billing for procedures. If I'm a foot surgeon, our friend's our foot surgeon. He's a foot surgeon. Like every time he operates, they're charging several $1,000s to insurance, and he gets his cut, and he does like 6 a day, 5 days a week. And you guys get the point. And that's not even private practice. Private practice, you get a bigger cut. But here's the thing, and I think this is a great Jackson. This was a light bulb for Jackson on our damn call. Workflow for highest. What's that? Oh, so I can do this. Is that better?
Wait, I can't.
Well, now,
Hold on.
I can't
My bad.
do it. Like it just won't go.
I got it. I just share screen.
Find a way.
Just push the button. Okay. Better?
There we go. Yeah.
Okay. So if you think of a surgeon, there's no world where a surgeon can show up and do a B+, C+ job. A surgeon can't show up and mail it in. Why? Because life is on the line. Already malpractice on the lowest end, malpractice, getting sued, and someone gets hurt and a procedure's not done. Worst case, you end a life or you don't save a life.
Record.
It is recording. Let me make sure. Hold on. You never know.
So it's not. There's no record button.
I'm recording on YouTube.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Because we need this for.
Sorry.
No, you're
I
good.
just
You're good.
wanted to make sure. I was like,
Anyway, you have to stay. Thank you. You have to stay on point. Like when you show up, let's say you're a heart surgeon, there's a certain level of minimum effort and expertise you have to show up to. And there's so many people in our team and in our company and the generation that wants it but doesn't get this concept. That you have to show up 80% minimum all the time to be successful. But some of us will show up and then we'll have like, oh, sorry, I've been off these last couple of months. You can't be off a couple of months as a surgeon or these high paid workers, okay? So you're 80% the majority of the time. And I can see some of you are purely engaged because you got like side conversations going on. I love the Zoom thing, right? Should I call people out now? Okay. But then you have peak times. And then you have peak times. And the peak time for us is the 8 weeks in goal period coming up. But I would say for you guys, it's probably 12 weeks because it's the 4 weeks leading up with office search. There are 52 weeks. What's Luke, do me a favor, 12 divided by 52?
You mean 52 divided by 12?
No, 12 divided by 52.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Okay. 0.2307.
Yeah, so 25%. So a quarter of the year, I'm asking you to grind. Right? And there are other times between that. But for sake of your organization, there really are going to be 25% of the year. And I'm just, now is the time. I guess my tone is a little bit more somber because I'm really sad because the ship is sailing and I know some of you won't be on the boat. And it makes me sad. But John made me feel better. And he said, you gotta give to the people who are going to be there. And that's what they're going to get. They're going to get awesome. So ready? Seasons. You have to find out seasons. Doesn't mean you have to go strong and all out all the time. But you have to show up the right way 80% of the time. Okay? Food for thought. Any questions, comments? Let's do a quick round of what's hot and what do you appreciate? We'll start with that. Jackson, I'll have you as the hub leader kick it off over there. And we'll go around the horn with your hub. We'll start there, please. Thanks, Jackson.
What's hot is excited for today's prep, getting to see everybody again, and these guys are last prep. What I appreciate is all my TLA members being on point today, and we'll go to Eric next.
All right, cool. Do I do it from my laptop?
No, I'm just saying.
Okay. Oh, it's starting with my son. All right, cool.
Okay.
So, after what's hot, was with Jade, one of my summer AMs. Finished all 3 of my AM calls this week. Super pumped for that. I'm just kind of getting momentum going from my office. And what I appreciated was Valentine's Day with Becky and being really intentional and not using my phone that day. It was cool just having a lot of time together. Appreciated that very much.
Nice. We'll go to, thank you. We'll go to Mason, then Rob.
Just talk. Just talk.
What's hot?
Look at the camera.
Thanks, Jackson. Good thing
Oh, I love you.
What's hot? I got an A on my econ test. Econ exam yesterday. So, and what I appreciate is today's prep.
Okay, outstanding. We'll go to Mr. Rob Rodriguez. You're up. Okay, we'll go to Mike Sullivan.
What's hot is I've had my AMI Facebook training, and I appreciate this last prep.
Okay, outstanding. Let's go to Clearwater. We'll go Amanda, and then we'll go counterclockwise to Daniel and around the horn back to Steven. And guys, by the way, for some of you, if you guys were past 9:15, shoot me a message. Like, don't wait for me to shoot a message to you. That's high school stuff. Seriously, you know we don't show up right before start time. Like, I don't know what division you worked in if you forgot that. So if you're late, own up, man up, woman up, and send me a message of what's going on, please. Amanda, you're up.
All right, what's hot is TLA prep today. I'm excited to learn about the receptionist program, and what I appreciate is seeing everyone on the call.
There we go. We'll go Daniel around the horn up to Steven.
What's hot is the weather here, so it feels pretty good. It's not cold. What I appreciate is I'm going to be going to Molly later. Eat some really good steak.
You're gonna go to where?
Malio's. It's in the bottom of the sides tower.
Nice. That's a cool restaurant over there?
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Enjoy. We'll go Josh and then Steven.
What's hot? This prep's the last one that came really quick. And what I appreciate is you ordering pizza later. And Jeff paying for pizza.
There you go. We'll go to Steven.
What's hot was observing Mike run training this past week, and I appreciate you, Joe.
Appreciate you. Thank you. We'll go virtual land to Christina Fernandez and then over to Gainesville.
What's hot is the surgery went well, and what I appreciate right now is the bike that's helping me through this week.
There you go. We'll go to Gainesville and then over to San Juan.
Safe zone.
What's hot is I don't go to FSU, and what I appreciate is I actually appreciate. I watched a video this morning where this guy doesn't have any arms or legs and how he's succeeding. So I appreciate having limbs.
Yeah, is that Nick? Who was it?
He's a high school football coach.
Yeah, I saw that, the 30 by 30 on ESPN. Yeah, that was heart wrenching.
What if I told you?
Yeah, that was heart wrenching. We'll go over. Yeah, let's go around the horn. Who's next? Amy, you're up.
What's hot on today's prep, and I appreciate my brother coming to visit.
There you go. That's cool. I always like seeing family too. We'll go to Mila.
What's hot is I ran training yesterday, and what I appreciate is Giovanni.
Okay, outstanding. And then we'll go to San Juan, then Josie over in the Carolinas.
So what's hot is also I'm planning my trip to New York, and I appreciate my TLA for being on point with their assignments.
Yeah, I want to give a little shout out here, and this is like the third time this has come up on how on point Puerto Rico's been, okay? And right, I'm a disclaimer. I'm just saying this for effect. No, I won't do that. It's really awesome to see that when they show up, like everyone in Puerto Rico never shows up like, okay, for effect. No one shows up shitty, but a lot of people in mainland, you guys show up shitty. And what's great about today, I'm watching you show up shitty to start this meeting. Like right in your face. And that's what hurts. It hurts so much to know that in my mind, and we can change the script. That's cool because it's not summer yet. In my mind, I've already labeled who's going to eat shit this summer. And if I'm a betting man, which I am a betting man, if I were to bet and you put a money on like a 21 office parlay, you guys know what that means? Don't ask, right? If I were to do that, I already know which ones of you I wouldn't put money on right now. And I know which ones I would text and say, Luke, do not get into that. That's a sucker bet. Giovanni, take it off. Like, I'm not that they gamble, but like if I were, I would say take it off of that. But I would say put a lot of money on Puerto Rico. Put a lot of money on Mila. Right? Those are the ones that stand out right now. Put a lot of money on Amanda Swanson.
Oh, let's see.
Exactly. Mute Puerto Rico, mute. Espanol. There you go. Right? Put a lot of money on Christina Fernandez. Put a lot of money on people. Put a lot of money on Jackson Montgomery. I know you're not Branch Jackson, but put a lot of money on Jackson Montgomery. Put a lot of people. Put a lot of money on Luke Maseko. And it just props to Puerto Rico for continuing to just show up right every time. And you guys are frozen, of course, as I'm talking about you. That just makes total sense. Josie, we'll have you go next, and then we'll try to come back to Puerto Rico.
What's hot is I have 2 friends in training this week, and I'm running PT2 on Wednesday, and I appreciate it.
There you go. I love it. PRs. Luke or you? What did you say? Luke or you?
Oh.
What did you say? You can change it, but what did you say?
She said it. She said it. She said it. Okay.
Oh, let's go.
Fine. All right. Puerto Rico. Claudia, you're up.
Josie's left of the chat.
So what's hot is I'll be running my first training next weekend, and I appreciate Patricia and Christina.
Yeah. And I know what some of you are thinking. Crap, she's running her first training. I'm not even fill in the blank of what you probably should have already been doing. Like, urgency, everyone. Urgency. Okay? Patricia, go ahead.
What's hot is I got to spend my boyfriend's birthday with him, and I appreciate just being here.
Nice. So in love are we two. Okay, sorry. Is that it? Okay, we'll go to pilot here. We'll go David, Erica, and then we'll wrap up with Luke.
What's hot is office is building up. We're getting some summer momentum right now. What I appreciate is the effort being put in together by our staff, and looking forward to also learning here.
And you also appreciate
Lights.
Lights. Erica, you're up.
What's hot is my dad's birthday dinner tonight, and I appreciate being live in the pilot.
There you go. Live in the pilot. Luke, wrap us up. I'm going to roll.
What's hot is I feel like I have a lot of like office planning and logistics kind of ahead of pace. And what I appreciate is the sunrise this morning. If you didn't see the pic, go check it out. It's the best one yet.
Subscribe. Subscribe. Follow me. Okay. Subscribe to my follow. Subscribe to my follow. Culture. Culture. I want to talk about culture for a second. Okay. Who we are. I think that's an important part. The culture defines who we are as an organization. I can tell you who we're not, and I can tell you who we are. There are divisions that have blank as their like DNA, and there are ones that don't. And I think it's really easy to get caught up in who we are because who we are is really awesome, exciting, and who we are is the product. We're an avenue. We're the avenue. We're the hotbed for personal and professional development for young people. We're the place where if you're in college, there's no better place to be than here. In fact, I spent 20 minutes with a Michael Blyer. Michael Blyer, some of you know, and you'll appreciate this. Michael Blyer, what are you doing this summer? I thought I'd get a job. You know, what kind of job? Oh, well, a restaurant. So, yeah, really? And we went through and so why? Well, not really for the money because I don't need it, like you said, Jeff, but, you know, because my friends are working there. I said, okay, so you're going to work a job and then tell me about that job. And he talked about how miserable the job was going to be. And we went full circle and I just said, I'm going to be straight up. That is the worst idea I've ever heard in my entire life, at least for this for today. And he goes, yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's the worst idea. You're right. I said, Michael, you need to be here. You need to be here. And I went off for about 10 minutes on like, I know I haven't talked to you. I know you've been getting sucked into that vortex known as FSU, college freshman year. Okay. And I said, hey, let's get your life back on track here. And he said, my life? I said, your life. Because I'm responsible for your life. I feel like outside your parents, I feel like I have a responsibility. And I told him, because who we are, everyone, who we are is a development hub for professional and personal growth for young people. We 5-star recruit. We're creating 5-star recruits. But here's the thing. As a business, you have to remember, and if you look at the keynote, what we are. That's the part that I think we're missing. Who we are is easy. It is easy to get excited about personal growth. It is easy to put all your schedule to reading books and posting things and watching, YouTube videos and watching, you fill in the blank of some great, awesome content on podcasts of personal growth and forget what we are, who we are versus what we are. And what we are is we're a recruiting company. We are a recruiting company, okay, first, whose amazing product is this creating 5-star recruit personal and professional development opportunity. Don't mistake it. Our company is not Cutco. We are a sales company. I'll use Vector. Vector is a sales company, the largest marketing arm, and we offer a great product. But as a manager right now, we're a recruiting company. And I want to share a few thoughts. When people say, I love what I do, I love what I do, I love what I do, we only get to the part that we love if we recruit. We only get to the part that we are excited about if we recruit. I want to use a sports analogy. I know some of you aren't into sports, but this is such a great, if you don't recruit as a team, as a coach, as a staff, what I love to do is win and develop these young women and young men in the sport that I'm teaching, in volleyball and professional and college football, whatever sport. And I love, that's what I love. I'm a coach. I'm Dabo Sweeney. I'm the #1 coach in the nation. I love being a role model and at Clemson, who I love this guy, like doing things the right way and teaching them how to be great men when they go into the world. He also sold Cutco, as you know. But if he doesn't recruit, if he doesn't go into the heartland of Alabama and recruit kids who should go to Alabama and to come to Clemson like that, there's no I love what I do. You just have some okay players and you actually don't love what you do because you have crappy team members. And that's the whole point of if you get anything, like I said in the video today, I got a chance to speak at the DVM meeting last week for all of Vector East. Okay, there were 30 DVMs and executives. And I referenced 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I gave a talk on outstanding explosive divisional culture. And I listed, these are some of this is the evolution of where Florida United has come from. We came up with 4 anchors back in the mid-2000s in DC Metro. Then Dirty 30 came about in DC Metro in 2009 from our Rockville office, and what you appreciate. And if you notice, a lot of these things, if you know me really well, were things that I was going through in my development and just in my life and things I was experiencing. M3PG experience, I was just so excited about growth, and I had this random epiphany as I was looking at an ad in the newspaper in the concierge lounge at the Miami International Airport. And it said, miles per gallon, MPG. And I thought we were going to be the most powerful professional and personal growth, M3PG. And I sold the whole division on it, even though they were so confused on how to say it, but it stuck. And it got people really, really excited. This was in 2011, I think. And then best version of yourself is I had gone to a Matthew Kelly conference, and I just rediscovered my faith and what was really important, what wasn't. And so I talked about best version of yourself. And as you know, most of you in the last 2 years, Cutco Through College, 5-star recruit, and of course our 5-year divisional vision of epic, scale, hotbed, built to last, and spearhead. Okay, these are all great cultural themes, but the thing that's and the 4 that have stuck the most, I think the 4 that really define us are the 4 anchors of who we are: Cutco Through College, 5-star recruits, and just this exciting vision. It's so fun to watch people say scale, hashtag 2019 scale. It's so fun to say, man, we're going to be the hotbed. But you have to remember who we are is awesome as a product of professional growth. What we are is a recruiting company. Look at the first one, anchors, right? So here, let me break it back here. Anchors. Explosive team building is all about recruiting. Part of our anchors, the culture we have, is recruit your friends under the team. Learn the skill of being a team builder. Cutco Through College. Cutco Through College by nature, by design, is a recruiting tool. We even use college student recruiting analogies. What's the third theme? 5-star recruit. That is directly taken from high school sports, but it's a recruiting tool. And we're talking about, hey, and if we're recruiting you, and hey, Luke Maseko, one day when you've run your second branch, and one day when we recruit you to be a district manager and not go into the world of finance, take it as a compliment that you're a 5-star recruit. And that's exactly what happened. It worked. It worked. It worked. Okay.
Whoa, wait, am I going to finance?
And United Division, right? 2020. The hotbed of recruiting for the company. So when Al DiLeonardo or Bruce Goodman says we need talent and spread it across the country, they're going to fly down or call us up down here in South Florida and in the Caribbean. It's all recruiting based. And so here's what I want to share with you. A successful divisional culture is when you have a successful recruiting culture. Here's what I do know. No one's going to get people more excited than me when you get them in front of me. And here's what I do know. The power of our development is going to be way better when there are 350 people at SC1, not 150 people. I can tell you where United kicked off is when Scott Dennis came to visit. The first time we united, no pun intended, the divisions. He came to Fort Myers to that hotel, and he walked in and he said, "You're going to have an outstanding summer." And you already know because there are a lot of people here. Anytime the island has in Puerto Rico, you call it rebuilding. It's not really rebuilding. It's just reopen. Okay. When I walked in, I remember the days of Jessica Perez in 2013. And I walked in and she had 57 reps from her office in San Juan. And we had 125 people jammed. If you guys know Doubletree, that small ass room that's always got empty seats. We had no tables. No, it wasn't classroom style. It was packed and we had people that couldn't get in. And if you didn't get there early, you had to watch outside. And David Vargas knows that meeting. You had to watch from outside. And we took this gigantic pic of everyone from Puerto Rico, and there were 125 people at what was normally like a 30 or 40 person meeting. A great divisional culture is only happening when there's a great recruiting culture. Okay, recruiting is the answer. And I think one of the things that I want to encourage you to do as a Cutco manager, even myself, is to fall in love with recruiting again. Anything that's related to recruiting district managers, recruiting Michael Blyer. We're not done with you yet. Recruiting more people to join. Recruiting David Delgado, the prep school kid, who I'm going to put the second and third effort into talking to him to give me more names and more names and more names because I can recruit more people so they can get this great experience. If you can get there and not focus on the other stuff is easy. I'm just telling you, PPR goes up when you have a lot of people. Sometimes I don't even know why, because you just are really excited. And what happens is you pour more energy into the right things. And a lot of it's by accident. And don't fool yourself. And Luke will talk about this first. Just don't fool yourself. You're not really running an office. You're just getting one open. The rest kind of takes care of itself. And remember who you are. Okay. It's been really cool. And I'll be careful not to cross boundaries here. A lot of you have been going back and forth on rediscovering who you are, right? So, and it's specific. I'm talking about faith, and it's really cool as someone who's I have a very strong faith, and it's really cool to watch some of you go back and figure out who you are, and you're coming back better. It doesn't mean you have to, and I'm not giving you, whether it's Judaism, Catholicism, it doesn't matter what it is. When you really are true to who you are and you feel good about it, you're just a better person. Right? The best of my career is still yet to come, because as I've gotten married and as I've gotten in my later years, I'm really comfortable with who I am, and I'm really comfortable with who I'm not. And you guys know that. Like I'm cool. I'm cool if I'm not what you guys want, or not our team, but if I'm not that guy or that, I'm totally cool. I'm not Larry Manley, and I don't operate like Larry or Trey or Ben or Brian. And they might have like a cool factor or the legend factor or that. But, I've got the Jeff factor, and that's who I am. And everyone knows what I'm about, and they know what's important to me. And there's no question about that. And you don't have to wait till 41 to get there, everybody. And when you get there, here's what's really cool. You really, really, really start to win at life. And what's important now. And I shared, these are 5 questions I ask myself probably once a month. You guys might not know this. Heidi and I do a quarterly review like a business. And every 3 months we get together. We get a really expensive dinner booked 3 months out. And we spend the whole day together, phones off, and we just talk about where our finances at, where's our family at, where are we at, when did you hurt my feelings this month? Let's go back to that one thing that still doesn't feel good. And we have a whole day debrief of the last 3 months, and we want to revisit this. Like, who am I? What am I here for? What matters most? What matters least? What's the best version of myself? Now, this is for just life. And a lot of you can really feel the power of just getting right with this. But I want to take it back to business. When you get right with who we are as a business, if you understand who I am as a recruiting company first, Al wants to change the position to DM, from DM to DR, district recruiter, because it makes sense. No, I'm not going to do that. But he's calling everyone district recruiters. You guys are branch recruiters. I'm a divisional recruiter. You know what? The other day someone said, hey, what do you do? I used to always say, have you heard of Cutco? Yeah, I run all operations. And now lately I've been saying, what do you do? Have you heard of Cutco? Yeah, I'm in charge of all recruiting and development operations for Cutco in Florida and Puerto Rico and Caribbean. I'm in charge of all recruiting and development operations. And I want people to know I'm a recruiter. And some of you know people that are recruiters. Some of you are fangirling with Shelby Wilgust, right? She's awesome. Like I had 2 calls with her. A lot of your names came up. And Shelby was talking about her previous job as a recruiter. And she said, so many people, like Cutco almost sometimes hides it. The best managers don't hide that we're a recruiter. The best managers the best managers say, we want your friends. If you ever go to Andrew's office, there is no shame. Hey, we want all of your friends and the whole class and the class below you, age appropriate, right? We want it all. We want it all. Okay. So recruiting is the answer. Who we are is a professional and personal development, creating 5-star recruits. But what we are is a recruiting company. And my goal is, here's food for thought. I'll say, hey, Christina Fernandez, what's your goal? Eric Palacio knows his goal. Hey, Dave, what's the goal for the pilot? Luke Maseko's got his goal. But how many times, and ready, I'm not calling you out because some of you haven't asked this question. If someone asks you that question, think of the answer you give right now. And how many of you don't have a recruiting number in that answer? Right? Like Giovanni and I know there's 200's the number. There's a magic number of 200. We got to, I don't know how. We haven't gotten to 200 recruits in the summer in the pilot. We've come close, but 200, we break 200, the rest, we have a 250 and we have an exact number with all the math, and Giovanni does the math. I hate the math. He knows that. Like we do all that, but 200's the number. We get to 200, peace, see you later. We're going to have a good summer. We can't help but have a good summer. Even if it's not a good summer, like we're off track, we'll at least recover for a good summer, because you can't not recover. I hate double net. You can't not recover with 200 recruits in the pilot. So my goal should have recruiting in it. And if you're thinking, I've never thought of recruiting in it, oh man, we got to change that now. And you know what's cool? There's time. There's time to change it. Office leases. You can't recruit if you don't have an office. Sorry. You can't recruit if you don't have an office. Okay? And this is a team effort. If the branches and new DMs don't do their part, or if the district doesn't do their part. So Jackson and David are 2 key players here in office searching. Jackson in Panama City and David in the island. I'm up here in South Florida, right? We got Carlos and Mike and Orlando helping on the West Coast. There's a lot of people helping. If we don't do things together, we're going to have a really, really hard time getting recruiting going. You can't, no matter how excited you are, you can't pull recruiting off when you're still worried about where you're going to run interviews and run training. So for what it's worth, The goal of getting all the leases in by the end of March by Jacksonville, I know that's early in some cases. That's not early. That's really how it should be. And last year, there's an alarming number. We only had 60% of leases in the region in by April 1st. That means there were some managers who weren't able to be in their office the day they were supposed to get on campus, the day they were supposed to Facebook blast. And you're just chopping recruits because no matter how great your scaling is, if you don't have an office, we're in trouble. This is a great picture, and I hope you memorize this picture. In fact, I will send this picture out. But this is how the business should be broken down. In fact, this is Amar DeVay, except we just graphed it. This is the great Amar DeVay, still a mentor of mine. He's running all Costco operations as one of his jobs with Cutco. He's like the Batman savior of Cutco, if you really know what he's done for the company. This is it. 50% of recruiting. Sometimes I'll have a district manager, and Jackson, you can appreciate this. When you have a lot of help, you spend all your time PCing your assistants and candidates. And I'm running a business, an operation, and they don't put time into recruiting. Then they have no new recruits, no fresh blood, if you will, no new business, no new income. Or they spend a lot of time driving sales because I got really sharp kids that'll sell a lot, but there's no fuel to the funnel. Then they become old business, so financially it's not as profitable. And you have a small team, but they're sharp, but they're a small team. Okay. Even in the heyday, we keep talking about 2017. Like we had a big, I know they were sharp, but we had a big team. You see the picture I post all the time. Some of you in that picture was with Rihanna in the front, like putting her tongue out and got packed. It was at the pajama meeting, and Luke's got the big knife in his hand. We had a lot of people on the team. Recruiting is the answer. Recruiting is the answer. That's Al. That's Al. Al's great. That was great. That's not Al. Those are numbers. On the left, these are 5 arbitrary branches. On the right, on the right are the results for last summer. Varying, right? On the left were the recruits. So you got a branch, look at the bottom. 2 branches that roughly recruited 67 and 70, 74, 75, and the results all varied. And you know what? I would take, if every branch in the division did 65K and profited, a 65K branch, if you sold appropriately, you should profit between 2 up to 15 grand if you do it, 2 to 10 grand, depending on your profit margins. If every branch did 65K, now that's terrible PPR. 65 reps to sell 75 grand. That's horrible PPR, and I don't think you would get that if you tried in Florida United. But the point is, you got to recruit. Look at all the ones over 100. They all broke 50 for sure. Yet we had people in our division that were getting less than 20 or less than 30 recruits for the summer. Ain't gonna happen. Ain't gonna happen. Okay, that's the number. That's like the pilot Giovanni 200 branches. It's 50. New DMs, it's 100 minimum. More if you can. But if you're a brand new district and you're just like Luke and just opening up, Eric, just how fast you get to 100 recruits and go from there. How fast you get to 100. It's like John and I are talking. The hardest financial gain is the first million. Once you get to your first million, it rolls. It's really cool. And we talked about like, okay, what do we do here? What do we do there? When you get to 50 branch recruits, when you get to 100 new DM recruits, when you get to 150 vet pillar DM recruits, game on. And that's what I want all of your planning to be about, 50 recruits. If you open up the folder later, we can take a look. There's a folder. Actually, you can open it now. In the opening comments folder, I gave you 3 of 7 documents. The other 4, I'll wait till later. I don't want to overwhelm you. I want to give you the most important documents. Okay? Aside from Facebook Jumpstart, like getting people that can start your PR funnel, and aside from office searching, okay, and aside from scripting training, those are the big 3 for me. Like, how do you make sure you have a pool of people to Facebook blast? Are you able to get an office the way you're supposed to? And then here, are you planned out on how to scale out your PR callers? And I'm going to go to the branches first, but there's also new DMs there. Look, let's see where it says branches 60 set per week. There's 2 different scenarios. There's either the branch sets 30 and they get 20 hours of receptionist coverage to get another 30 and they get their 60 per week. This is during peak period. Or the manager sets less, but they get 27 hours, which would be like 2 callers instead of 1 or 2. Instead of 1 or 2 callers on 20, it's like 2 or 3 callers. To me, it doesn't matter. And for those of you that are next level, I just want you to know we're going to do all of your cap sessions on the model, assuming you don't send anything to conveyor, that you're staffed with all PRs, receptionists. That way conveyor is backup, if you know what that means, for next level. Okay, really important. You know, Luke and I are getting a session in the next, very shortly, where we're going to spend a whole session just on this plan. Like just because we did in the pilot, just week by week, total number, how many names we have to get. And that's the plan, not the sales plan, although he's going to share a sales plan. That's not the most important thing. And if you look here, this is kind of a breakdown, what it looks like for a branch. You got 8 weeks to set 60. You got 4 weeks to set 20. The magic numbers, you got to break 560. Minimum is 500 for PRs. Yet in our region, this is really sad. In our region, here, I'll show you. Okay. This is Florida Caribbean. Okay, the only one that was close to 500 was look at Aventura, bottom right. Eric Palacio, 437. You can pull the document up yourself, right? Port Charlotte, 268. Oh, by the way, she was number 3 in the division, almost at 300. But everyone else, Boca Raton, 96. Naples, 216. Caguas, 210. I would say that was still pretty weak. But then you look at the offices that had a solid. Look at San Juan, 720. Now you guys won't have the financial plan to do that. But look at the pilot, 2,079. And if you know the story of the pilot, we got off to a rougher start than 2017. But what saved us is recruiting. 2,079 PR saved us. And Erica and Mila and Josie and, she's not here, but Chase and Dan, Michael Blyer and Malcolm. Remember we had that emergency meeting on PR Call and we had Sam Latrico come in. And then we had that Top Golf contest to make sure we set PRs. That saved our summer. We wouldn't have broken 500 new. We would have been below 500 new for the first time in years. Okay, or below below pilot standard anyway. And then you look at golf, right? Golf was sad as hell. Sad ass golf. Sad ass golf, right? And then parts of Florida Caribbean. Sad ass. I'm gonna go back one. Sad ass Florida Caribbean too. It's all united. We're all on the same team. Sad, 88 for the summer, 192. And even it's like we didn't even try. Pascal Hernando, 288. I'll take that. Okay. But look at Michael, Clearwater, 999. Now you guys won't be set up for 900,000, but you will be set up for 500. Okay. So to me, okay, this is the model. It's Carolina. I'm sorry. Go back one. And you can look this up for yourself. This is North Carolina. Okay, pilot led by example, just under 2,000, 1827 if you look at the top left hand. But look at the bottom. Fayetteville, aka Vietnam, if you know that. They call it Vietnam. Okay, I'm just going to go left to right on these branches. 587 Fayetteville, Rock Hill 384, High Point 452. Elizabeth City didn't get it, but 244. Jacksonville 492. Going over to 454, 199. They killed it. And that's why they were the #1 division, pound for pound. They were the #1 division, pound for pound this summer. They're the highest branch average. And here's what we do know. Whatever our average is missing, we went from like a 60, 70K branch average to like something terrible. That missing number of CPO, if we just go back to the PR program that we're set up for, we'll make that up without trying. With just doing our normal mediocre standard results. Okay? And I got some time with Larry on the golf course. And I said, Larry, we're messing around and drinking beer and golf. And I said, no, seriously, though, talk to me about PRs. And he said, easy. He said, Jeff, Vector's gotten lazy and the kids are more in social media than they are grinding. And my kids know how to grind because he's like, we're simple in Carolina. We're just simple folk. We just work really hard. I said, shut up. And he said, but seriously, commitment to fire number. Our guys knew that you had to get your 20 to 30 every week. Like you didn't go below 20, but you always were shooting for 30 plus. We've talked about the second one, Saturday surge. Okay, Saturday surge. Because if you only have 8 weeks to recruit and launch, you got a Saturday where you do PDI in the morning, you send conveyor between 11 and noon, probably 11 o'clock. And then from 11 o'clock on, we had managers. I had a branch manager tell me they were going to the beach to decompress. I said, decompress from what? You have 7 reps. What are you decompressing from? Now's the time. You got to put the pedal to the metal. And I know I'm dating myself, or I'm just showing my wife. On the farm, the water pump. Okay, it's a water pump. You know what happens when you're pumping? Dave? What's happening?
You're compressing air.
You're compressing. Yeah, and like the vortex whole thing, right? Yeah, like the gigawatts. Right? Yeah. So you're pumping water. Why? Because you compress water and it pushes the water up. But if you don't keep pushing on the pump, the water goes back down and it starts over again. But once the water is flowing, then you take you can let go and you can put the bucket on. It's just flowing with recruits, so to speak, on this analogy. But Saturday is your chance to get pumping early before Sunday. Saturdays also, you know this, I love insurance. I have so many different types of insurance. I have health insurance. I have insurance, right? I'm okay. I have so much insurance. I have health insurance, life insurance. I have limited liability insurance. I have workers' comp insurance. Why? Because I just don't want to take a chance just in case. Just in case, or get ahead is Saturday surge. And I said, Larry, so you guys were saying what, an extra 5 or 10 on Saturday to get ahead? And he goes, no, they were like grinding like it was Sunday. He had branches getting 15, 20, 25 on a Saturday, and then Sunday started. And then they would go into Monday with 20, 30 plus, and you wonder how their PR number is so big. And that's the number one PR caller that they affect themselves, okay? And then the drop-down list. The drop-down list is, you guys heard of Doomsday Protocol or drop-down list? Long story short, hey, in case of if the world is about to end, you break that glass and there's a secret recorder in there, and then you play it only if the world's about to end. And you know, the movie is about that, and I was quoting another movie that none of you have seen called Kingsman. And it's Doomsday Protocol. And the Doomsday Protocol is, well, in an ideal world, what fuels, and I'll go away from the pilot right now, what fuels all these names? Like what event, no pilot, besides Facebook, what's the function that's going to fuel every week this PR cycle? Anyone? Bueller. What's the one function, the one talk of the training you have to master to fuel this whole puppy? Josie, unmute. I saw you said it. I read your lips.
The PR talk?
The PR talk. Right? The PR talk. So if I have 10 people in front of me, I want to have 150 to, oh no, sorry. 1,050. Yeah. Sorry, good math. I want to have 1,500 to 2,000 names after I launch 10 people, an average of 150, or in loose case, 200 plus, okay? You need that. But if you don't get the amount of names or you don't have a good launch that week, that is not an excuse to miss out on the number. You need to go to your drop-down list or your Doomsday Protocol. That's like a rep saying, and you've heard this, how many of you have been in assistants before, and the rep says, yeah, but Andrew, like, I don't have a big family.
Grew up in a small family.
I don't really know that many people. Like, my family is not that big. And you already know this rep is kind of toast. Or you're going to take a lot of work. Versus, hey, Jeff, can I talk to you? I have so many ideas. Like, my dad is a member of this, and my mom works here. I'm going to go to her job and talk to all her friends. Like, you get that aggressive rep. That's who we need to be. If you don't get a lot of names, let's say instead of launching 10, you launch 1. Let's say you launch 10, but instead of getting 1,000 names, you get 200 because something catastrophic happened with the app. Things will happen. But there's still people to call. You still find a way. You go back to old PRs. There's a whole drop-down list. Old PRs, interview PRs, old names, old lists. You call certain reps on an emergency on Saturday, and you get them in for a 3-way session. Say, hey, I'll buy you lunch, sit down with me, and let's do. However, you have to find a way. And too many branches got stuck. And that's the most frustrating thing to hear as a division manager. Oh, I'm stuck. Stuck is synonymous with helpless. And you know the opposite of, you guys know this from Tony Robbins, the worst state to be in is helplessness because you have no control. The opposite is gratitude. That's why we do what you appreciate every meeting. So when you're helpless, I can't even help you. Hence helpless. No one's going to help you. But if you have I can find a way to call mentality. I lost all my leads. You've heard that before? And I've heard 2 scenarios. I lost all my leads. That's why you suck. Or I lost all my leads, but here's what I'm going to do. Every CSP in our division that kills it, from an Andy to a Taylor Max to a Mariana to Jordan to a Nicole Reed to a Ray Reed to even an Ed Reed from the Ravens. They have started their recs over again multiple times. Not, oh, I lost my recs. I guess I'm no longer a CSP. That's not how it works. So just food for thought on just how we have to have a recruiting mentality. And I'll end with this. We'll go to break. Okay. You need a lot of people at the top of the funnel. That's what that picture is kind of trying to show here, right?
Everyone jump.
Yeah, everyone jump. You need a lot of people at the top of the funnel. That's the most important thing. Those red represent our great TLA reps and our great reps that we like you. Takes a lot.
It's a great picture.
I know. So ready? This is what I think is so important for recruiting. What's important with recruiting? You got to get this. You got to get the blues. You need a lot of blues to get just a few reds. If you see the picture, Facebook Jumpstart, get your butt on campus, Receptionist PRs, when you have hires that you PR at them, that means you have to get good at sharing vision, excitement, and using Cutco and prizes to get them to be submitting PRs, and then personal PRs. Those 4 are more important than how good your training is or how staffed your PR calling is, because if you don't get these 4, I guess PR calling would be the next one right after that. If you don't get these 4, you have no names to start. Yeah, but if I average 150 and Erica says I can get 200 names per person if my PR talk is good, but if you have no one to start with, you have no people in training. And I know you know this, but I gotta keep saying it. And keep it simple, stupid. This is gonna be a little bit of what Luke and I are gonna talk about later. 5 key programs, and keep it like this. I'm not even gonna use the slide. Just hear me out for a second. Can you get enough people to apply, and then from that, get enough people to run an interview? Well, let me say this again. Can you do the right things to get enough people to apply? And then can you run a good enough interview and be a good enough caller to get them to come in and sign for training? And can you be a good enough trainer to get a few of them to come in with names and launch with 5-10 demos? And can you be a good enough manager just to get them to the SLDM and their first team meeting? That's it. I know it's not it, but really that's it. Can you just get people to your door, to an interview, to your training, launch with a few demos, and come to the SLDM on Wednesday? You get them through day 6. Is that day 6? Yeah. You get them through to day 6, you're in good shape. Even if your team meeting is terrible, which many of you will have an absolutely terrible team meeting. But you'll get them to day 6, and we'll figure it out. Okay? So I'm going to stop there. Come up for air for some light bulbs. Process it. Be one with it. Own it. Be it right now. Write down a few takeaways, please. We'll share. We'll take a break. And I believe I am right on time. You are. And for the hub leaders, make sure we order the pizza in time to get for lunch. Lunch will be at arrival at 12 for the food, please. Whoever's ordering pizza. Okay. So let's stop. Come up for air for some takeaways. Big light bulbs. I've got you on. I can see all of you. We'll go, Luke.
I just thought the graphic of, I think it was the John Kane graphic, where it was 50% recruiting, 25% driving sales, 20% development, 5% other. It was just good to see that visually, give you perspective on how you should be spending your time in the office.
Yeah. We're a recruiting business. It's what we are. Other light bulbs. Was that Christina?
Just like the fact that the best managers have no shame in being called recruiters, because I feel like some people hide what we actually do.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like a big light bulb for me.
Yeah. I mean, we are sales trainers. We are manager develop. We do all that, but we're a recruiting company, right? Otherwise, people would just show up for it. Like there would be another way that we didn't have to do all this work to get people in front of us. But that's not our company. And our company certainly isn't judgmental, because if it were only recruit people who are like sharp and on some scales, half of you wouldn't even be kept for an interview. If you took like this approach of we only work with, like I'm even kidding myself. I went to a prep school, and yeah, I came from a blessed, well-to-do family, but who am I kidding to think that we're just so much better than people? Like give people a shot. Some of you don't even know it. It's like a blind spot, but you're a give them a shot. You don't even know it. Like, oh, well, I should open up the net. Dude, you were the net open. You were the give a shot. Think about that. How about that? Catch Me Outside. No one knows that reference? Oh, okay.
We do. She was in our office.
Who else? We'll go Amanda and then Palahio.
All right, cool. Yeah, I was just kind of like echo something. Yeah, at the end of the day, we're a recruiting business, and that's what always needs to come first. So it's just, it was cool to see the diagram and how everything's pre-played out. All the other stuff is just add-ons, but as long as you recruit, you'll be in good shape.
Yes, I agree. We'll go Palahio and then Solve.
Yeah, more like
Matrix.
Okay, cool. So like a little light bulb, it was just like a happy air back there.
Hold on, time out. Jackson, you mute, and then Eric, you unmute because it's distant. Por favor.
That basically I remember like trying to replicate, like do like Andrew, have like the Andrew factor. It's like I have the Eric factor, so just be Eric, like be genuine to yourself. And on top of that, it's kind of just like, I remember last summer being so excited to like mentor and coach people, but like you can't do that unless you have kids in your office.
Yeah.
So you have kids.
Sorry. Eric, you're gonna be a scary office when you're a recruiting office first, because what you get after they come through your doors is magical already. You don't need, and it's gonna improve. But for you specifically, man, if we can get you focused on recruit's the most important thing, put 75 people into that funnel in Aventura versus whatever the funnel was last year. Get 1,000 PR set instead of 5. I mean, it's really exciting. Like boom, boom, pow. How you like me now? Exciting. Mike Sullivan, you're up.
Just really knowing that recruiting starts with you as a manager, and not to drop the ball on that, and not relying on necessarily like AMs or a receptionist to book up all your PRs.
Yeah, you're in control. You got to take care of home first. So, any other ones? How about from the districts real quick, and then we're actually gonna go. Luke, can you go your message first, and then break, or we go to break first? Up to you.
I need to pee, so let's break.
He needs to pee, so we're gonna break. And he's got pee. You got pee. Any district commentary real quick? We got David. We have Jackson. Don't need it.
No, just really focus on recruiting. The job is pretty simple. As long as you have people in front of you, they're going to sell.
Yeah, and no pressure. We need 150 people at the Puerto Rico meeting. Thanks. Thanks. No problem. Okay. Sweet. Let's do this. Let's take. It is now 10:32 on my watch, which was given to me as my wedding gift. Isn't that cool? From Lamar DeVay. Little alligator. You like that? It's a Florida gator, by the way. But seriously, it's from Gainesville Gator. 10:33. We'll get back at 10:43. Cool. Gracias. And we'll mute here.